If you want it so bad, grow a pair and make a real offer that WB can't refuse. Otherwise, shut the up. Question from Aiden. Hey, Colton. Just want to say, love the videos and what you do on Screencrush. Well, thank you so much, Aiden. My question is, what are your thoughts on Netflix's acquisition of Warner Bros? Do you think Gunn will be fired? And do you think it'll be a positive or negative acquisition in DC's eyes? And we also got a question that I'm going to throw in with this one as well from Akash. It's on the same topic. Colton, do you think Netflix, if it acquires WB, will stick to only James Gunn projects, or also make other DC projects of their interest outside of the Gunverse that he doesn't greenlight along with James Gunn projects? Okay, so you're saying, will they make DC projects that James Gunn has no say over? All right. The Ellisons, they're throwing a fit right now because they didn't win the bidding war for Warner Brothers against Netflix, and the Ellisons being over Skydance Paramount. And now they're trying to slip in and do a, quote, hostile takeover, basically meaning that they want to sway the shareholders to abandon their deal with Netflix and sell to Skydance Paramount instead. And they aren't being shy, about their ties and their friendship with the Trump administration, who gets a say in whether or not this acquisition, an acquisition of this magnitude even can go through. Now, they can appeal it up to the Supreme Court, and if everything's above board, there's nothing the president can do to stop it, theoretically. But, it is their preference that it not even get to that point. And the Ellisons are saying, hey, it's going to be a lot easier if you go with us. But, the Ellisons, they're willing to be gross, but what the Ellisons don't seem to be willing to do. They're willing to, play dirty, fight dirty, which, sometimes that's great. You need to fight dirty. But what they're not willing to do is actually put forth a competitive bid. A really competitive bid, if you want it that bad. They're pretending like, they're offering so much more money by offering like $30 a share instead of the $27 or $28 a share that Netflix made an offer for. But what many seem to be missing about the difference in these two offers is that they're not for the same thing. Skydance Paramount wants all of Warner Bros. Discovery, while Netflix only wants Warner Bros. Studios and HBO. So really, when you break it all down, Skydance's offer, that it's not this huge amount more than Netflix's offer. Because if WB Discovery were to sell Warner Brothers Studios and HBO to Netflix, and then all their linear cable channels and other TV properties to another buyer, they could theoretically rake in another, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what that company would be worth. But I think I read that Skydance is valuing what would be Discovery Global at like only $1 a share, while Warner Brothers Discovery is wanting like $3 a share. Discovery seems to think that the $82 billion that they're getting for Warner Brothers and HBO from Netflix, they think that they could substantially add to that by then going and selling Discovery Global, all of the remaining assets that they will form into a company, to a different buyer. They think that they can get more money doing that than selling it altogether. Warner Brothers Discovery would totally sell it altogether and to the Ellisons if they offered the right amount of money. So, Ellisons, if you want it so bad, grow a pair and make a real offer that WB can't refuse. Otherwise, quit pussyfooting around, man. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, I don't really think this is going to amount to much. I think WB is still going to get Netflix. Now, if the Ellisons come in and say, hey, for the whole thing, we'll give you $115 billion. Well, then maybe Warner Brothers would have to reconsider. And while I'm not crazy about the idea of Netflix getting them, I do prefer it over the Ellisons getting them. I prefer it over, and take my own personal opinion and politics-related opinion of the Ellisons out of it. I don't like the idea of two classic Hollywood studios that I love, Paramount and Warner Brothers, being under the same roof. That's too much consolidation for my liking. Now, to answer your question about James Gunn in DC, No, James Gunn is not going to be fired. I know some like to pretend that the Snyderverse is going to come back if Netflix gets WB. It's not. James Gunn will remain in charge of DC Studios. Netflix and WB have said as much. And while James Gunn probably has the same concerns that we movie theater lovers have and we movie fans have about Netflix, a streamer, owning WB, but I think as long as Netflix lets him do his thing, he'll be happy to stay at DC Studios and make his movies and rake in that paycheck. Now, to the other question about if there will be other DC projects made outside of what our questioner called the Gunverse, you have to remember, yes, there is the DCU, the interconnected DC universe with Superman and Creature Commandos and Peacemaker, and those have all been James Gunn projects, but there will be non-James Gunn projects in there as well, like Supergirl, Lanterns, Brave and the Bold, Clayface. All projects that James Gunn is not writing or directing. He's just serving as an executive producer on as the studio head. And sure, he has a lot of say in it, but that's also the case for their Elseworlds projects, like the Batman, that aren't part of the DCU interconnected universe. But what you really need to remember is that James Gunn isn't the boss of just his projects. He's not just the boss of the DCU. He's the boss of DC Studios, period. He's the boss of all DC projects, all of them. That includes the Batman too. That is a DC Studios project. It's not a DCU project, but it is under James Gunn's rule, if you will. So no, I don't think we'll see any DC projects made that aren't overseen by James Gunn. Yes, there will be non-DCU projects coming out of DC. I mean, that's the case right now, before Netflix even started their buying process. And it will be the case after Netflix buys them. But what isn't going to happen is a situation where they make other DC property movies or shows not under the DC Studios banner and use the DC IP for a movie or Netflix show or whatever and try to cut DC Studios and James Gunn out of it. I guess they would have, yes, the right to do it. They own it. But I think James Gunn would have every right to be pissed off if they tried to pull that shit, and he would likely, and I think rightfully so, quit over that. I mean, that would be like if Disney said, hey, Kevin Feige, we're going to let 20th Century Studios do a Captain Britain movie. And you, Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, you're going to be completely shut out. That's a no. That's undermining your executive who you put in that position to run those branches of your tree that are your giant studio. Let them run it. But yeah. And I'm also glad to hear that Netflix is saying that they're committed to theatrical experience with their WB films, but I am scared that may be short-lived, and I don't like this talk from their CEO about shortened theatrical windows, because that just tells people that they should wait and watch it at home, and that is not this consumer-friendly thing that they are pretending it is. The CEO of Netflix had said it's more consumer-friendly to give people the option to watch movies at home sooner by shortening the time that they are in theaters. And here's why that's a negative all around. And it is not this kindness to consumers that he's making it out to be. Consumers have been trained that now that most movies will be on streaming in a few weeks. So, I'll just wait and watch it at home. And that is hurting the box office, which is hurting the entire industry. But this isn't the case because consumers don't like going to the movie theaters anymore. I mean, sure, to a degree, interest in going to the movie theaters has certainly dropped, especially after COVID. But a lot of people really love going to the movies. But they feel like they're wasting their money when they go and drop money to see a movie in theaters that they can just watch at home in a few weeks and save 20, 40, 60 bucks. But, if we went back to the days when people knew that if they wanted to see a new movie in theaters, or wanted to see the new movie at all, that they were going to have to see it in theaters, or they wouldn't be able to see it for a few months before they could rent it on DVD or whatever, then that makes seeing the movie in theaters have more of an exclusivity feel to it, an event that is worth the money to, go and have a night out at the movies. I hope that makes sense, because, well, I get the argument of, well, some people can't afford or don't have the time or both, don't have the money or the time to go see a movie in theaters. and they would rather just watch it at home. So we need to make that an option and not box them out. I get that argument, but I really do think there is a hunger to go see movies in theaters. And I think people are happy and willing to spend their hard-earned money to go see movies in theaters if they don't feel like they're wasting their money. Because I think what a lot of people are thinking to themselves is that the more responsible thing might be to not go see it in theaters and just wait a few weeks and watch it at home, even though maybe they would really like to go watch it in theaters. But if the viewer knows that it's going to be months before they can watch it at home, and they don't have this guilty feeling of dropping more money to actually like go to the movies and, you know, pay for multiple tickets and buy concessions, then it becomes more worth it to them. Then the movie theater experience becomes more valuable and more worth it to the consumer to drop some extra cash to see it in theaters. You know, exclusivity was a key driving force of what makes the movie theater industry work. Exclusivity makes it feel more like money well spent. And while some may say it's exclusionary to not also have a new movie available for home consumption a few weeks later, or even, you know, some would say the same day that it's out in theaters, to that I say, you know, get over it. It's a movie. It's not food or electricity. It's not something that people can't live without. It's a discretionary expense. A discretionary expense that is still one of the most affordable things to do for a night out of the house. And yes, movie tickets and concessions, they are getting more expensive, but it's still comparatively affordable. And it's a discretionary expense that I do think hardworking people are happy to spend their money on if they feel like they are getting value out of it. And that value is, well, one, a good, non-half-assed project, actually make the movie good so people want to come back and see the next one and see more and more movies, and not feel like they wasted their money and had a bad night out, you know, instead of how Hollywood seems to currently do it, and they make a piece of shit and laugh at people who already bought tickets because they already got your money. So that's one thing, make the movies actually good so people don't feel like, because I think that's another thing. People will wait to watch it at home because they've lost confidence that they're actually going to have a good time. At home, they can, you know, turn it on. If they don't like it, then turn it off, turn on something else. And, you know, they haven't wasted any of their money. At a movie theater, if you're deciding you don't like the movie, you can't just get up, leave, and change movies. I mean, some theaters might let you do that, maybe, but there's the schedule of it all, and, you know, if you've paid for a babysitter, it becomes a clusterfuck, so it just becomes easier to watch it at home. They need to go back to making movies, though, feel like an event. Make going to the movies an event. Make it feel like an affordable luxury, something you can't get at home, something that would keep the industry, the theater industry alive, thus keeping the movie industry alive. And it keeps people employed as well, is something to keep in mind. That these are people's jobs. These are people's livelihoods. So yeah. Thank you so much for the question. Hey everybody, Colton here, and this is the mailbag style show where I take your questions about Marvel, Star Wars, DC, movies and streaming in general. Whatever you want to ask, send it in to the email address askcoltonnow@gmail.com, link in the description below. And hey, maybe you'll see your question featured right here on the show.